Have you ever looked at all the gear musicians use and wonder, how does it all work? My name's Dustin, and my family and I are setting out on a quest to inspire both adult and kid musicians to create new sounds together and learn all about what it takes to produce great music. We'd like to invite you along on the journey as we explore the gear professional studios, musicians, and hobbyists use to create their art. We'll take a close-up look at the gear and ask,
what's this button do?
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of What's This Button Do? I'm your host, Dustin, and today I get the privilege of showing you one of my favorite drive pedals of all time. This is now on my board constantly, and I am so impressed by what Thorpy has done. But it's, of course, from our friends at Thorpy. This is the new Electric Lightning. Now, this is the first foray for Thorpy into a full tube overdrive. So there's actually a tube inside this pedal pushing that drive sound. And I gotta say, and you'll hear terms like amp-like distortion, all this crud thrown around on demo channels all the time. I'm not going to be so shameless as to say amp-like distortion, but what I'm going to say is this has the most wonderful breakup and pushing into a tube amp. This is truly one of the best drive pedals that I have ever got to play. But what I find even more impressive about it is this works on just about every type of guitar, including baritone. So I thought what we would do is we'll hop over to the pedal board real quick. I'm going to show you what this sounds like on a normal guitar. And then I'm also going to plug in a baritone so you can hear what it sounds like on a baritone, because there's a lot of drives that get kind of sloppy and gross and not sound too good with a baritone. This is not one of them. So let's go take a listen, hear what we think. All right, for today's demo, we're going to be using my trusty Rock and Roll Relics Johnny THunders P90. This is very similar to like a Les Paul Jr. kind of style, single P90, kind of gnarly, raucous, a little bit deeper, darker. Let me let you hear what the clean tone sounds like. And this is a single coil, so you're going to hear a little bit of history right here. Don't worry, that's perfectly normal because it is a single coil. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to engage the Electric Lightning. I've got the volume turned right there, so you notice not a massive volume jump at this point, just a little bit extra drive, but you can hear the grit that the tube introduces into here. Versus a little more drive. And as we bring up the drive here, thick that gets, how driven, that sounds like you're cranking a tube amp up. Natural, and then the second you click it back off, back to a clean. And you can hear those harmonics that the tube gives that you just can't simulate with FETs, and it just, there's that little bit of that ring, that chime as the note fades out. It's just so prevalent in a tube drive. When we crank it up even further, sustain, it just rings, it just keeps that note hanging on, that tube just pushes it into that sustain world. And when we back this off and we crank the volume a little bit, we can oversaturate. See, there's a point on there you can almost oversaturate your amplifier. So I like to keep that volume back right around noon and then use your drive to really push you into that next level. Now, the other thing that Adrian did really well with this is adding in these EQ controls. So you'll notice you have a treble, a mid, and a bass knob over here. Now those three are independent of the boost. We haven't even gotten to the boost section yet. So like with this is a little bit darker pickup. So I'm gonna leave my drive right about where it is, maybe back it off just a little bit. Let's give it a little more treble. Start to get into that like more plexy kind of thing. You can push those mids a little bit and give it a full range. Let me show you the full range of this. We'll keep the mids back. I'm going to take the treble all the way out. That treble can really push you in, and it really causes the breakup to change form, and that just gives you so many different, it can turn a clean amp into so many different types of distorted driven amp. Like, so cool. Let's leave that toward the middle, and I'm gonna bring the mids in now. We'll do the same thing. Take the mids all the way out. Subtle there, but if I back off the treble a little bit and really let you hear this, you can hear the steps there. It's nowhere near as powerful as an EQ as the treble is, but it's still there. And then our bass knob, let's turn that all the way down. Mids up a little bit, push our treble up a little bit, and keep these mids back. Just abso-freaking-lutely killer. But say you're getting ready to transition and you need a little bit of a boost on there. They also added in a boost here, and you'll see you've got a boost level, and then you've also got your lows here. And this is really important because when we bring in this boost, I'm gonna leave it right here. The boost can be a cut or a boost. So if I've got it all the way down, so a fun thing that you can do with that is if you've got a really good distortion sound or a really good drive sound going, and you maybe want to clean it up a little bit, you can have this kind of fully engaged and maxed out, and then use your boost to cut it back a little bit, so you can be playing along and like, and then when you turn off the boost, so it can be used both ways. But what I love to do is if you crank this up a little bit and then take these lows down, watch what happens. hope this comes across on the thing as well as it does in the room. When you boost the lows on this, it's not like when you boost the lows here. When you're bringing this up, you're actually bringing more thickness into your sound. It honestly kind of acts as like a low mid, not really a true lows, but it's making those lows kind of stand out a little bit more in the mix without overpowering and becoming muddy. So I keep the bass down here, bring those lows up, and you get this nice thickness. So let's turn it to middle. See how it just brings them in just a little bit subtle, but it's really nice. Hear them start to come in just a little bit. Like I said, it's not over the top, it's not crazy, but I like that you can thicken that up and just give those lows a little bit of a tweak, and they sound absolutely incredible. But now that we're talking about the low end, let's do what I said in our intro. I'm going to hop over to a baritone and let you hear what this sounds like on a baritone. All right, for this part, we're going to be using my signature DB baritone from Fidelity, my favorite baritone of all time. I'm just going to have this in the bridge pickup, just giving you a nice clear sound. So something like this. And I'm not switching amps. Normally I would play this through my Silktone Parallel with the 15-inch speaker because it gives a little thicker. I stayed in the exact same amp, still using the guitar amp, so you can hear this exactly like it would come out of your standard guitar amp at home. You don't need a special baritone amp for this. But I thought I'd show you what this sounds like with the Electric Lightning because it does just make a baritone come alive. So let's turn on the drive real quick. Now, normally when you put drive into a guitar amp with a baritone guitar, sometimes it can get muddy and thick sounding. This, just from the bat, with nothing really changed on the EQ. Still sounds pretty darn good, but you can hear the trebles. There's not a lot of balance there between the bass and the treble. There's some note separation there. There's some issues there. So let's fix them. Let's bring the drive up a little bit and bring our volume up a little bit so we can get some distortion to where we want it. All right, right about there. Now, let's bring that bass down just a little bit. Too much. Too muddy. Let's keep it around 11 o'clock. Let's bring our treble up. Too much. Try the mids. Kind of like their mids cranked there, but let's back it off just a little bit. We'll go to like 3 o'clock. Now, let's add the boost in there. And again, we've got it in the middle, so it kind of dropped a little bit. Let's bring our bass up. all the way down. Way too washed out. Let's turn the whole thing off. Back to our drive sound. Back to the boost. Listen to that, the sustain, the clarity, even on the bassier notes. You just can't beat that. I think the sound is killer, the drive is killer. Just Thorpy freaking nailed it. Yeah, I hope that came across right. You can hear that like with the baritone, it doesn't get muddy. It doesn't get into like a weird, gross distortion like so many pedals do. A lot of drive pedals aren't designed with baritone in mind. And so they just will not take that deeper, bassier end and make it sound good. This does it does it so flippin' well. But then when you go back to just the regular P90 guitar, holy crud, that's just like AC/DC all over it. And you can dial back that drive into some lower gain territory where this is just such a versatile drive. And of course it's got Thorpy standard construction where it's just this hardcore, like designed to be used and played and taken to a bar where you're gonna get beers thrown at you, and it still works, it still functions. Adrian's work is phenomenal. And you guys know I'm not sponsored. They don't pay me anything to say this. I am just genuinely so impressed by all of the pedals that I've played from Thorpy, but this one in particular, this is just genuinely one of the best pedals that I've ever played. I'm just so happy to have it on my board. So thank you so much, Thorpy, for the fantastic work. I can't wait to see where we go with the whole tube-driven pedals. Interested to see how this is going to work in the future. But beyond that, I can't say enough good things about it. Well, as always, thank you to my friends at Palen for sponsoring the show. Really appreciate you having us out. There's lots more pedals coming. We've got a couple of new Thorpies coming on the way. I just ordered the WOPR. I cannot wait to see what that sounds like. And then we've got some more coming too. So I'm sure you'll be seeing some more Thorpy demos soon. And please, if you have not got a chance, if you're on Instagram, please go follow us on Instagram. This fall, I've got some demos planned for there that won't be here on the YouTube channel. So you'll see some fun stuff coming from us this fall over there. Well, thank you so much for coming out. Can't wait to see you next week. Take care and have a wonderful week.